10 random magic cards rated day number 5-4, everybody. Happy Saturday, y'all. Let's see what the first card of the day is. Generous Gift. We just looked at Beast Within the other day. This is White's version of that card, because White gets to do everything at instant speed, too. It's 3 mana, 2 and a white for an instant. Destroy a permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 elephant. So, yeah, it's literally just Beast Within. What do we give that card? Like a 7 point something? Just 7? I think we should probably give this a 7 as well, but hold your horses. One of the reasons Beast Within gets such a high grade is because it's one of Green's best removal pieces. This is not one of White's best removal pieces. It does say destroy target permanent, which is wonderful. It's really very, very good. White doesn't always get to do that, right? But White does have all kinds of other ways of doing this better, no matter what in permanent you're trying to blow up, unless it's a land. White probably has a better way of blowing that permanent up. So it's actually a little bit worse in White. So I'll give it a 6.8. We'll go there with it. Scheming Symmetry is up next. Printed in Core Set 2020. This is a single black mana for a sorcery. Choose 2 target players. Each of them searches their library for a card, shuffles their library, puts that card on top. So they get their card first, is how the card's supposed to work. Also, Seb McKinnon again. Seb McKinnon strikes again with the art. It's so good, dude. But they get their card first. But if you're playing the card correctly, you get your card first because you were able to cast this somehow at instant speed. There's lots of ways to quicken this card. And there's even ways, to cast it for free because you did a funky thing during your opponent's turn and you get to cast something off the top of your library for free. Boom, Scheming Symmetry. So, again, there's ways to kind of set this up. But it's still not amazing. I will say this. Core Set 2020, printed, it's got a couple of different printings. It's got a secret layer printing. This is $5.61. So probably still one of the more expensive rares from Core Set 2020 to this day. So people are doing something with it. And I'm sure there's combo setups and all that. But a unique little tutor, and tutors, especially for 1 mana, will always be sought after in Commander. So I'm going to give the card a 6.2. Very high, sort of, for this. But I think it deserves every scrap of that and possibly more, to be honest. But moving on to Life Gift here. Only ever printed in Betrayers of Kamigawa, currently worth $8.63. This is 3 mana, 2 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever a land comes into play, you can gain a life. Any land, played by anyone. So it's not just landfall. That's why it doesn't say that back in the Oracle text. It's whenever your opponents play lands too. So that's crazy. I want this card. Why haven't they reprinted this? My goodness, I don't remember this card existing. I did play a good bit during Kamigawa block, but I don't think this card was part of any sort of, constructed or competitive deck back in the day, which is probably why I don't remember it. But my goodness, this is a good one. I think we have to pull out the old marker, everybody. Buy Life Gift, which I'm pretty sure costs more than everything else that I put on my buy list combined. But it's probably worth it, dude. I got a couple of decks that care about gaining life, like Dina, Soul Steeper, and stuff. So this would obviously go directly into that. This card's awesome. Life isn't the most important thing in the world in a game of Magic. You could actually say it's one of the least important things in a game of Magic. It's a resource. You use it and all that. But again, you're gaining 4 life per turn cycle at least, and that's if no one's ramping or putting lands into play in weird ways. This seems phenomenal to me. So, and just another way to trigger your life gain stuff on your turn. But also trigger it on your opponent's turn is gross. Seems really good. Plus, you've got like fetch lands and stuff. It's so good. It's so good, like demolition field type effects. A bunch of lands will come into play when you do that. Play the Nuka Penafetches, gain 2 life effectively when they come into play, and then go get another land from the Nuka Penafetch, and that's another life. So like Nuka Penafetches now gain you 3 life just by themselves. It's pretty good. So yeah, man, card's awesome. Again, life isn't the most important thing in the world. Well, it is in reality, but in the game of Magic, your life total is not that important. But life gain decks probably really, really want this if they can, if they have the commander colors to play it, right? And I do. I'm playing Dina. I want to proc my life gain stuff on their turn. You play a land, cool. I'm going off now. Let's give Life Gift like a 7, dude. Am I allowed to give this card a 7? Because I'm going to, and just did. Mountains up next. Basic lands get a 5. I like this art because of this little dome thing right here. With the tree in it, they're growing a tree in a dome on top of this mountain. That's hilarious. Move on. It's Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre. The Gyre is infinite with this one. 11 mana for a 10/10 legendary Eldrazi. When you cast this spell, destroy target permanent. That's the least we could do. It's got Indestructible, as well as Annihilator 4. Whenever this creature attacks, defending player sacrifices 4 permanents. When Ulamog the Infinite Gyre is put into a graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles their graveyard into their library. So no dropping this into your graveyard for reanimation later. You can't do that. That said, there's other ways to cheat it into play. People do. What do you give a card like this? Ask the audience. There's my Ask the Audience for the day. What do you rate Ulamog the Infinite Gyre? Because I actually think that we will get ratings all the way from like, meme scores like 1 and 2. But people that actually kind of mean it when they give it like a 4, I think that there will be people out there, but there'll be scores all the way up to like 9.5, 10 on this thing. But I am not even somewhere in the middle. I'm much closer to the high part of the scale, right? This is a... Gosh. Gorsh. Let's give this an 8.4. Can we do that? Can we give... I mean, what you don't understand is that the gyre on this guy, the gyre is infinite. He's going to be gyring forever. So the gyrations are nuts. And you have to respect that. Lots of goos on this guy. I haven't used that word in a few videos. Dude, 8.3 at least. At least. Iconic too. Iconic masterpiece of a card. It's so good. If you've never played against a card with Annihilator 4, like, good for you. Disrupt Decorum is up next, though. This is 4 mana, 2 and 2 red for a sorcery. Goad all creatures you don't control is what this does. I hate Goad. Until your next turn, those creatures attack each combat if able and attack someone other than you, in case you wanted to know what Goad was. Goad is so annoying. It really is. I hate that it's stuck. In Commander, like, there's a lot of Goad cards, and it's just like, God, why are you making me do stuff I don't want to do? This is fine, though. Better than fine, honestly. It really is better than fine. So they can't attack you, and, it's just going to be chaos. And sometimes it's fun to play a card as the red player and sit back and laugh at everyone having to deal with the chaos you've created. That is a personality type of person in Magic, and we're all that person from time to time. So I can't really rate it too highly, though. I'm going to give it a 5.2 because I think they want it to be a red sweeper that never actually is. But it also taps down everyone's creatures so that when it comes around to your attack step, you can just attack whoever you want to. It seems good. So there's a lot of sort of ramifications, consequences and repercussions to having played this card, and I like that. But we'll move on to Wrath. It's Wrath of God, everybody. It's the Wrath of God. Where's the revised one, baby? There it is. All right. So destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated for 4 mana at sorcery speed. You know what Wrath of God does. The OG Wrath, the sweeper that sweepers are named for. The whole reason that we have sweepers in Magic the Gathering is because of this card. I guess there's like Earthquake and Hurricane, and it's not like this was the only pseudo sweeper, but this isn't a pseudo sweeper. This is a sweeper. This sweeps the board when you play it. And it can't be regenerated either. So that's fun. God, Wrath of God. What do you give the OG 4 mana unconditional Wrath? And there's still not a whole lot of cards like much, much, much better than this that do what it does. There really aren't. So what do you give the White Damnation? I guess you call this. Man, this I have to say too, when we first started playing Magic, when my buddy Kevin introduced me to Magic the Gathering, his friend Chris played this card in a game, and I was like, wait, what? It does what? Like, yeah, just read it. And it's 6 words. It's 6 words. All creatures in play are buried. And I was like, the card's broken. Like, that card's too good. We didn't have broken as a word in 1995. That card's too good. Like, why is that card can't exist? Like, you made that up, like you somehow printed this card out. I didn't actually go that far, but that's like how I felt. But no, the card's real. It's always been real. They printed 1 million sweepers, a lot like it since then with varying, degrees of difference. But but it will always be one of the best. It really will be, man. Wrath of God gets an 8.5, ladies and gentlemen. I went there with it. It's higher than Ulamog. That's higher than Ulamog. I'm going to sneeze. Okay. Oh, blah, blah, blah. All right. So, in case you forgot, I'm sick this week. But Wrath of God just worked me up so much that I had to sneeze. Jeez Louise. Macaroni and cheese. Wrath of God's a good Magic card. This is going to be the best card of the day, isn't it? Let's find out. The next card is Ventara Snapper. It's looking that way. Only ever really printed in Prophecy, which is a set people like to kick around, and there's a reason for that. This is 2 green mana for a 2/2 turtle that can't be the target of spells or abilities as long as you control no untapped lands. So this is actually one of the better cards in Prophecy, isn't it? 2 mana for a 2/2 with a pseudo-relevant creature type nowadays because there are actually cards that want you to play turtles, so this gets a free 1-of in your turtle commander deck. But apart from that, like, Shroud, as long as you don't have tap lands. Okay. Again, like, in terms of, like, the level of quality in Prophecy, this is, like, kind of way up there. I'm going to give this card a 4.6, and it doesn't deserve that, so I'll give it a 4, and it doesn't deserve that, but I will not continue to rate the card. This card's actually like a 3. Let's all be honest with ourselves. The card's more like a 3. I just like turtles. Nexus Thought Reflection. This is 7 mana, 4 and 3 blue for an enchantment. If you would draw a card, why don't you draw 2 cards instead? Why don't you draw 2 of them? I'd rather you draw 2 of those cards, actually. And I'd also rather look at this art for reasons. I have my reasons, but yeah, this is good. The price doesn't reflect how good it actually is, but, you know, being about $1 or a little bit more, people are into it here and there. Yeah, 7 mana is obviously a lot for this effect, and you're doing like way more for 7 mana on a lot of other Magic cards. But once the card is in play by hook or by crook, I imagine you're cheating it into play a lot of the time, then you can draw your deck easy and also peasy. If there's lemonade, squeezy. This is okay. I can't rate this super high, but I also can't rate it super low. 5.3. It's like they knew that the text box was busted. They know that text box is busted, so it costs a lot of mana. That's how cards work. Blaz is up next. All basic lands get a 5. Not my favorite John Avon piece, but I understand the desire to switch it up. You know, let's put a sunset in there and amber waves of grain and all that nonsense. It looks good. It's a decent color palette, but, you know, it's a plains. We'll move on to Valoris Stance, though. This is 2 mana, 1 and a white for an instant. Choose 1. A creature gains indestructible till end of turn, or destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. Solid Magic card. Will always be pretty decent. Either a counterspell against removal or remove your large man. Get out of the way, large mans. And I just like cards like that. So I'm going to end up giving this old thing. What do you give this whole thing? 5.4. 5.6. 5.6. Sure. Yeah. Final card of the day is Deir Spybug. This little guy's so cool, man. He's a little parasitic. Pun intended, I guess. But he's cool, man. He's 2 mana, blue and a black for a 1/1 insect with flying and menace. And whenever you surveil, put a +1/+1 counter on Deir Spybug. So it's not honestly as parasitic as I remember. It's not as parasitic as it used to be because surveil is now like an evergreen or I guess deciduous mechanic, right? Like it's not, I don't know if it's evergreen. It's going to be in like every set all the time. But as far as deciduous, yeah, it is seasonal. You'll catch some surveil cards even to this day. I think there were surveil cards in the newest set. We got the surveil lands in standard now. Like Deir Spybug gets better with every set that comes out. Neat little card, dude. Are you common? You're uncommon. What about guilds? Uncommon. You got to print this in common. Wizards, you got to print this in common. So we can build like a common Deir Spybug deck in Pauper and just do all our surveilling at common level. We can do that, right? It's my dream. This card's not good, though, honestly. Like in Commander, what are you building surveil.deck? I don't know. But maybe you are. But all things considered, I do have to give Spybug like a 4.6 because if you are surveilling, this card is actually like kind of tough. Kind of a tough little bug. So I've always liked it. I'm going to show it some respect, probably way more than it deserves, to be honest. But that is all the cards for Saturday, everybody. See you bright and early Sunday morning. Be it wearing your Sunday best. I'll be here in a t-shirt. Bye.